Hi there, it's Eugene Ebner with BroadwayWorld Cabaret TV at Don't Tell Mama with producer extraordinaire Stephen Hanks. Hey Stephen, how are you?
Hey Eugene, it's great to be with you doing this.
It's great to be here with you. Thank you for taking time today. We're really excited because this weekend, Sunday and Monday, Stephen is continuing to put out his cabaret series. I don't know if many of you know last year, but he organized and produced and created this cabaret series that raised awareness and money for the Democratic candidates during the midterms. And we happened to win the House, which was exciting. And we're here to talk more about it and let Stephen share not only what occurred last year and the performers that supported, but also what's occurring this weekend and how you can come out and celebrate this victory and continue to give back. So tell us more about how did this all come together?
So, like a lot of people after the election in 2016, maybe the 66 million who voted for Hillary Clinton, I was depressed, disillusioned, distraught. I wouldn't say dysfunctional. Anything that had a negative emotion that started with a D, I was it. And I was struggling. I was so upset about the fact that Donald Trump had won the election and what it would mean for the country, that I was struggling to figure out like what I could do during 2018 to devote my energy in some way. My biggest issue of the myriad of issues that I think are really important that the country is facing right now is voting rights. Because as I said in the shows, I think everything that we're dealing with stems from that major issue. If we don't secure voting rights for people and end the suppression and the attack on voting rights, then these dastardly policies that have been coming into effect are just going to continue. So my goal was trying to find an organization that I could work with that dealt with voting rights. But it was difficult because most of these organizations are based in DC, and I'm a New Yorker. So I was racking my brain to figure out how I could devote my time and energy to helping the cause. And at the end of 2017, I was with my friend and one of the performers, Sandra Bargman, at a show, and we were having a couple of drinks. And I just blurted out this idea. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to combine the passion that I have for these political issues with my passion for cabaret and use the arts to try to send the message and raise awareness. And I'll just ask cabaret performers who I knew, a lot of them that I'm friends with, that I've worked with before, were very passionate and engaged politically, and that would be open to doing something like this. So the idea kind of morphed into the performers will represent individual candidates running in the midterms on the Democratic side, whether it was Senate, Congress. We even had a couple of state legislator runs. Because there were performers in the show that actually knew people from state legislature in the various cities that were running, or states. So that's how it came together, and I just decided I was going to do, at first it started out as 5 shows, all women, because it was the year of the woman.
Right.
And frankly, as everybody knows, there are a lot more women in cabaret than men, so there's more to draw from. And then as we got into it, and the first couple of shows were very successful, I decided to add one more and have a bunch of guys in the mix. So we ended up with 5 shows between April and October.
I think it's fantastic, and I want to applaud you. What you said earlier is that you took your passion for both. And a lot of us have had to process through this, and it's affected many of us. And I think as performers, we're so passionate about taking a stand within our art form. And not only are you educating, raising awareness, coming together to kind of fuel out what we're going through, but you're allowing the performers to take a stand, use their talent. And you raised over, what, $6,000 between those months?
In the neighborhood of $6,000. Between the money that we raised from the cover charges with a fundraising campaign that I did on GoFundMe to just augment it, and money that I contributed myself, we pulled in a little over 6,000, and that was divided among the 30 candidates that were represented. We had 28 performers. I represented a candidate, and we had a situation where one of our performers had to miss a show, but we had the candidate already slotted, so we had to get an extra one. So we had 30 candidates. Now, some people will want to know, okay, so how did the candidates do? Because there was a blue wave.
Right.
Okay, and we won 40 seats. Our candidates won 16 and lost 14. Now, on the surface, as a sports fan, I would say, well, that's a mediocre record, right?
Yeah.
2 games over 500. But we focused on really tough swing states because, you know, we didn't pick races where it was going to be a slam dunk that the Democratic candidate was going to win. Those candidates didn't need the money. Mm-hmm. The people that needed the money were the ones that were running in races that were going to be tough to win against Republicans. So a lot of the races that our candidates didn't win were very, very close. For instance, the famous ones, Stacey Abrams in Georgia, right. Andrew Gillum in Florida, and Beto O'Rourke in Texas, who were all represented by performers. And, you know, unfortunately, they came close, but no cigar, as they say.
Right. Now, though, being able to celebrate this weekend, are the majority, so the performers that are featured, I see that many diverse and extremely talented performers in their right. And so how did you decide who came back? Was it whoever was available, or did you just say to everybody, I want to do this? And how does that work when you bring it back to celebrate?
Well, when I came up with the idea of having the celebration shows, and thankfully there was something to celebrate,
right.
I just basically asked everybody, do you want to be in this? Mm-hmm. And out of the 28 performers, there were going to be 25 that were in the original show, or 24 in the original show. And the reason the other 4 are not in it is because they got other paying gigs.
Right, not available.
And in the case of somebody like Annie Hughes, who was in the last show, she lives in Wisconsin, so she couldn't make the trip in. Mm-hmm. But I also was able to bring in Richie Eisenberg, who's a songwriter, who wrote a parody for Annie Hughes of My Heart Belongs to Daddy, and his song is My Ass Belongs to Vladdy. So I was able to ask Richie to come in and be in the Monday show. So most of them were on board. And also I want to definitely mention a shout out to the musical directors who agreed to do this, because there were 4 musical directors that did the show. Totally gratis. They volunteered, which doesn't happen often in cabaret. Even when groups do fundraising cabaret shows, the musical directors usually get paid.
Right.
I told the musical directors up front that I wanted all the money to go to the candidates. So they knew coming in that it was going to be pro bono. And Michael Roberts, who wrote the theme song for the series, The Great Blue Wave, which is a song I love, and Matthew Morton Ward, Ian Herman, and Tracy Stark all volunteered as musical directors. Tracy did 2 of the shows because Ian had to go in for some surgery early on, so she volunteered to do a 2nd show, and Tracy is going to MD the 2 celebration shows. So I'm incredibly grateful to these people.
I'm incredibly grateful to you and to everyone, so thank all of you for this. So let's focus back in on this Sunday and Monday. Now, we have a 5 o'clock show on Sunday, a 7 o'clock show on Monday.
Right.
The performers are split up between the 2 evenings. And now you're going to be donating all proceeds from this, and I know you mentioned her earlier.
Right. So Stacey Abrams, who lost her election in Georgia because of major voter suppression tactics by the Secretary of State, Brian Kemp, who ended up winning the governorship, she decided to take her energy once the election was over and she had to concede to creating an organization called Fair Fight Georgia to try to battle voter suppression tactics in Georgia. And I thought that that would just be a perfect place to donate the money, since they need it. It's an important effort. It speaks to my interest in the voting rights issue. and all the performers were totally on board with the idea as well.
Wow.
So
I love it.
we're hoping we can help them out.
Yeah, anyone that's watching this right now, if you're in the city, come out, enjoy, celebrate. Because what Stephen has done, again, is take his passion for both the art of cabaret and for making a difference politically. A lot of us are still frustrated and continue to be frustrated. So what can we do? We can come out, support the performers, support the Democrats, and continue to make a difference. And I think that's what it is about in our community. So thank you for doing this and not just sitting around and complaining on social media.
It's my pleasure. You know, as a couple of reviewers pointed out that came to the first shows, this is a continuum of a tradition that goes back to Weimar Germany. I mean, cabaret was all about, you know, in those years, political statements about what was happening there in the 20s and 30s.
Statements and political expression. And that's how we all come together. So check it out. We can't wait to see you. And thanks again, Stephen. And I love your tie.
Thank you. Rhapsody in Blue.
There you go.
The Blue Wave.